Hey fellow music lovers, I'm your joyful host Matt, and welcome to the very first episode of Flow Into Your Mind. Hooray, it's episode 1! Hang on, I have a noisemaker here. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for tuning in. This episode, we will be looking at Conception, the band that helped inspire this very podcast that you're listening to right now. Conception is a Norwegian hard rock and progressive metal band. Their official website states that they are known for melodic and rhythmic music of a unique, powerful, and dynamic blend. Their music derives influences from classical, jazz, blues, and flamenco? I promise I didn't stutter or make that up. I'll talk all about the flamenco of it all in just a few moments. But first, a little bit of history about the band. Conception was formed in 1989 by guitarist Tore Ostby. The band worked for a few months with local musicians and recorded their first demo in 1990 with sound engineer Niels Harald Melham. The initial drummer left not long after recording that first demo, so Niels suggested bringing on Arve Heimdal to fill in. They recorded a second demo tape later that same year, and this time, the bassist departed from the band. Conception hired Ingar Amlien to play bass following a jam session with Tore and Arve. The band rehearsed more and played a few small shows in the vocalist's backyard. They performed publicly for the first time in December of 1990 at Centrum Kino in Dhaka, Norway. The performance was part of a local festival titled Mega Rock, and attendees noted that Conception was the best music act they heard that evening. Following a number of successful performances, the band geared up to produce their first single. Tore decided to experiment even further with other musical styles, which fundamentally changed the band's overall sound. Initially, they adhered to a thrashy speed metal vibe. Now, in 1991, Conception took a new direction towards a melodic progressive style. The new sound also demanded a new singer. They auditioned a few different vocalists and ultimately brought on Roy Sater Kantatat. He went by the stage name Khan and is now professionally known as Roy Khan. Khan added yet another unique dimension to Conception's tone, with the fact that he was a classically trained opera singer. Conception's debut studio album, The Last Sunset, released on December 13th, 1991. They had faced little to no interest from any record companies, so they actually funded the entire album themselves and gained distribution in Europe and Japan. Amazingly, it paid off. The title track charted at number 3 for 3 weeks in Norway and gained high praise from European reviewers. In 1993, the band was signed by a German label called Noise Records. A quick side note here, Noise Records' most successful group at that time was power metal band Helloween, and they would later sign another well-known band, Dragon Force, in 2002. Okay, back to what I was saying before. 1993, they signed to Noise Records. Conception then released their second studio album, Parallel Minds, in that same year. The following year, 1994, Noise Records reissued The Last Sunset. Then in 1995, their third album, In Your Multitude, was released, and the fourth album, Flow, in 1997. Each album featured different stylistic developments. Tore justified this by saying, quote, "Some might argue that artists should stick to a certain formula, but we are Conception, and we need to do what we feel is right to make the most out of ourselves and our art." End quote. This constant evolution and creativity is what makes Conception legendary to their fans and fellow musicians. After those 6 years of intense production, development, and touring, the band went on hiatus. The members sought to explore new adventures and projects for themselves. As a matter of fact, I plan to cover some of these projects in later episodes of Flow Into Your Mind. I'm very excited. I can't wait to share them with you. Conception briefly reunited in 2005 to play 2 live shows and then disbanded once again. After 2010, both Arve and Roy had independently said they were retired from the music industry. But then, in 2018, Conception reformed with all 4 original members, Roy, Tore, Ingar, and Arve. After 2 decades without producing any music, Conception crowdfunded support for a mini-album called My Dark Symphony. After an overwhelmingly positive response, they quickly followed up with the release of a full-length album, State of Deception, in 2020. On returning with all original members, Arve said, quote, "What characterizes us after all is Roy's unique voice, Tore's brilliant guitar playing, and mine and Ingar's ground-solid, groovy foundation," end quote. Conception's remarkable comeback story is one to be celebrated. Looking a little closer at the songs and albums themselves, I have to be honest and say that The Last Sunset is probably the weakest album, but I particularly like Bowed Down with Sorrow and Fairy's Dance. I think the best song is the title track, and I recommend listening to its overture, elegy, before listening to The Last Sunset. Listen to them both together to create a beautiful floating mood. Conception are among the masters when it comes to seamlessly crafting heavy and gentle tones. The 2022 reissue of The Last Sunset included demo tracks that had never been heard before. Bound to Suffer and By Dawn's Early Night are fabulous. Parallel Minds features 2 of the band's most popular songs, Roll the Fire and Silent Crying. But my personal favorite from this album is My Decision, since it happens to have some of the most unique chords and dissonant progressions. And then there's the 9-minute epic that finishes the album, titled Soliloquy. It's worth multiple listens, because I always notice different rhythmic quirks every time I hear it. In Your Multitude integrated some African-inspired rhythms and instrumentation. The whole album opens with a sharp, shrill sound from a synthesizer that grabs your attention before settling into some West African-style drumming in the opening track, Under a Morning Star. I also really like the marimba that can be heard at the beginning of Carnal Comprehension. Undoubtedly, my favorite song from this album is A Million Gods. I guarantee you've never heard anything quite like it. Moving on to Flow. I'm constantly changing my mind between which album I enjoy more, Parallel Minds or Flow. But today, I have to say Flow might be my favorite Conception album. Track for track, this album delivers. It has a little of everything, and I am hard-pressed to say which songs truly stand out. Cardinal Sin and Hand on Heart have fast-paced, driving rhythms for any hard rock enthusiast to enjoy. Plus, this album has gorgeous ballads, Cry and Hold On. I actually think Cry would make an excellent wedding song. Tell Me When I'm Gone is probably my favorite Conception song of all time, and if you enjoy 90s grunge music, definitely give that a listen. Now, I can't possibly move on without saying that the title track of this album, Flow, that chorus is what directly inspired the name of this podcast. TLDR, Flow is awesome, incredible, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it to everyone. The 2022 reissue of the album also includes a bonus track that was recorded in 1995 called Sundance. Easily, this is the most flamenco sounding track in Conception's repertoire. Torres said that he has always loved Spanish guitar, and I think the band pulls off the flamenco style beautifully. Other songs that incorporate flamenco elements are War of Hate, Sanctuary, and Silent Crying 2, an updated version of an old favorite. Songs that I think you should listen to from the mini album would be Quite Alright and the title track My Dark Symphony. And from the newest album, State of Deception, By the Blues and Waywardly Broken demonstrate the contemporary styling that the band is aiming for. But again, we know that Conception loves to constantly alter their sound, so who knows what might be next. Since State of Deception was released at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, they asked fans to submit short videos of themselves holding up signs with the lyrics to the song Anybody Out There. And then the band took those fan-submitted videos to create the official music video. The song Anybody Out There, I think, really captures the feeling that we all had when the pandemic hit. Of course, as we're nearing the end here, I encourage you to look up Conception, give them a listen. Just know that you may need to type Conception Music or Conception Band, otherwise you will end up getting information about pregnancy. At the time of this recording, Conception has 11,500 monthly listeners on Spotify. If you're already a Conception fan, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And that's everything that I have for this episode. So make sure that you follow Flow Into Your Mind so you always know when new episodes are coming out, and I'd be grateful if you leave a like and a review. Until next time, let that good music flow into your mind.